Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Zach Bulls and I'm so excited to have you here today for this masterclass. What's keeping you single? The three biggest dating mistakes most gay men make. Apologies for the technical difficulties. I'm so excited to be sharing this experience with you today. And if you're not sure why you're here, you're joining live for the masterclass titled What's Keeping You Single? The Three Biggest Dating Mistakes Most Gay Men Make. If you're here, it's because you're ready to take a deep dive into understanding the patterns and behaviors that might be keeping you from the love and connection that you truly desire. You're probably tired of the same old dating advice and ready for a fresh, honest approach that speaks to the unique challenges we face as gay men in the dating world. And I'm here to tell you that no matter where you live, how old you are, what you look like, or what your dating history has been, there is a way to break free from those frustrating cycles and create the lasting, meaningful relationship you've always wanted. And it starts with recognizing the common dating mistakes that most gay men really get stuck in and how to shift those patterns for good. So, for those of you joining me live, I see 23 are here now. Awesome, awesome. Yes, say hi down in the comments below. I'd love to see where you're joining me from. I see Kendall, Thomas, Darren, Julius, Mark, Lee. Hey, Jerry, good to see ya. Let me know where you're joining me from, and I'd also love to hear what you would like to get out of this experience today. So please feel free. This is going to be an interactive experience, so have your hands on the keyboard. If you're on your phone, be ready to type in the chat. I'm really excited to have this interactive live experience. I've put a lot of thought and energy into putting this together for you all today. And hello from Denver, hello from Wisconsin, hello from Tacoma, Orlando. Awesome, guys, awesome. We're going to have some fun today. We're going to learn a lot, and we're going to have some fun. Today, we're going to explore these mistakes that so many of you might be subconsciously making together. We're going to explore them together so that we can get to the root of why they happen, and more importantly, discover what you can do to change them. This isn't about fixing you because you are not broken. This is about evolving, growing, and becoming the kind of man who naturally attracts a committed, loving relationship. Okay, so let's get started by taking a closer look at where you might be right now. And to do this, we're going to play a little game and do something interactive. And you can participate whether you're watching live or catching the replay. So what we're going to do is we're going to identify some of the unwanted patterns in your dating life. I'm about to list several situations, patterns, or scenarios that most gay men get stuck in when it comes to love and dating. And so what we're going to do for this game is you're going to be typing in the chat if any of these apply to you. Okay? Got it? Are you ready? Let's practice. Type ready in the comments if you're ready to play. Type ready in the comments below if you are ready to play this game and get started. Waiting to see if there's a delay. Okay, I'm seeing some readies. Okay, so there's a little delay, but we've got this. So have your keys ready. This is an interactive game. We're gonna have some fun, just lovingly calling ourselves out for some of the patterns that we fall into, okay? All right, seeing some readies, let's go. So, gentlemen, if you're not happy or fulfilled in your dating or love life, chances are you've found yourself doing or thinking some of the following things. So for the first one, type location in the chat if you've told yourself there are no good guys where I live. Type location in the chat if you've thought I need to change my zip code to finally meet the right guy. Type location in the chat whether you live in a big city where all the guys there only seem to want hookups or something casual, etc. Or if you live in a rural town where there seem to be limited options. If you think your location makes it more challenging for you to find love, type location in the comments below. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of you participating. Yeah, this is a big one. Okay, great. You guys are getting the hang of this. Okay, so next, if you're like most gay men I know, including me in the past, you've probably been too externally focused on your physical appearance. Type looks in the chat if you have thought or currently believe, I just have to become more physically attractive to get the guy. Whether it's losing weight, building muscle, better clothes, type looks in the chat if you have thought or currently believe you need to improve your physical appearance for the quality men you want to notice you. Yes, yes, yes. Seeing some looks in the chat. So common. It's so common. Next, guys, perhaps you're a busy professional and you have an active social life and you just find it a drag to make time to intentionally date. If this is you, type time in the comments below. If you tell yourself dating is just too much work and I don't have time, I don't have time to use the apps, to meet guys or go on dates because dating is hard and it takes a lot of work, type the word time in the chat. Or if you're afraid you're going to put a lot of time into dating and it's not going to go anywhere and you don't want to waste time, type time in the comments. Yes, yes, yes. Seeing that. This is another major block that I see a lot of gay men believe. They think it's going to be tough and they don't have the time, and it seems like meeting a guy seems unlikely anyway, so how will I find the time to date? Type time in the chat if this is something that feels like is holding you back. All right, next, type the word mask in the chat or in the comments below if when you finally meet someone you really like, you get all nervous and in your head and you don't actually show up as your real self. You almost have to put on a mask and play the cool guy or play this role that you think is going to get the guy into you. Type mask in the chat if you find yourself falling into this pattern. If you tend to avoid authenticity because you're afraid of being judged or rejected, if you tend to avoid vulnerability because you're afraid, type mask in the comments below. All right. See you there, John. I see you. Next, another pattern that I often see, type attached in the chat if you find yourself getting attached to guys you like way too quickly. If you find yourself putting them on a pedestal and getting really interested in guys that you like way too soon. If you find yourself fantasizing about the potential of what could be, even overlooking red flags and getting stuck in codependent roles, type attached in the chat if you've fallen into this category. Right. Thanks for sharing, gentlemen. Honoring your vulnerability here. This isn't about shame. This isn't about judgment. This isn't about blame. This is about identifying the common thought patterns and behavioral tendencies that we fall into that are so common amongst gay men that really contribute to why gay men are the social group most likely to be single, why gay men are more likely to be alone than any other population, why nearly 60% of gay men over 45 are single. It's because of these beliefs. So next, for the last one, I'm going to have you type either hookups or FWB for friends with benefits. If you're like many gay men out there, you really might find yourself confusing sex with dating. Type hookups in the chat if you find yourself falling into the trap of gay hookup culture when you really want more. If you feel like you're settling for casual hookups when you know you really want a romantic companion, type hookups in the chat. Or type FWB for friends with benefits if you tend to get sexually involved way too soon and find yourself stuck in casual friends with benefits situationships instead of actually getting to know the person, taking things slow, and potentially building a much deeper connection. Type FWB if you've been or currently are feeling romantic connections plateau into this friends with benefits situation that typically doesn't really go anywhere, especially when you really know that you want more. How many of you have done this? Type FWB or hookups if you find yourself falling into either of these categories. All right. So going to take a peek. Some of the chats I'm seeing, that one didn't really resonate as much, but I'm seeing a lot of looks, attached, masking. All right. Thanks for sharing, guys. It's great to get a feel for where you're at. Yeah, I'm seeing friends with benefits. I know this happens a lot. We really just think, if you're like me, you think that, if the chemistry is good and the sex is great, that can lead to a deeper, more meaningful connection. But oftentimes, if we hook up prematurely, if we really jump straight into bed together, it really prevents us from exploring more of the possibilities in terms of more emotional intimacy and real companionship. We kind of sabotage the excitement of looking forward to that after we get to know someone, and we can find ourselves really getting stuck in that friends with benefits place. So, all right, thanks for sharing, everyone. All right, so now we're going to take a moment to talk about what's possible for you. So you can all close your eyes for this part. You don't need to type anything. I want you to just really close your eyes and visualize some possibilities here. Imagine what it would be like, or imagine what it would look like if your dating life went like this. What if you had the confidence to know that no matter where you live or where you went, there's always the potential of meeting someone? You know this because it's less about what's out there and more about having the confidence in knowing what you are worthy of attracting. And you feel so secure and comfortable in yourself that meeting high quality men feels effortless wherever you are. Imagine this. What if you put less emphasis on what you look like and more emphasis on how you feel and show up in a dating dynamic? Even if you have goals to lose weight or build muscle, what if you could feel confident and secure in yourself right now? What if you could look in the mirror and trust that you are worthy and capable of finding love exactly as you are? What if dating wasn't this huge, stressful part of your life, but instead a natural integration into how you already show up? Imagine meeting guys, connecting with them, and going on fun dates as part of your regular routine. Not just hookups, but actual dates. What if dating didn't take up too much mental real estate or stress you out? What if, and when you're out dating and meeting guys, when you are out there, imagine when you are out in the dating field, when you are meeting guys, I want you to imagine that you no longer feel like you get attached to the potential or get attached to guys you're interested in. Instead, you have the ease of taking things slow. You're comfortable expressing your wants, your needs, your desires. You feel free and safe being your authentic self. You don't feel like you need to morph yourself into being this perfect version to be accepted and loved. You're secure in who you are. Imagine wanting a partner not to fill a void, but because you've created an amazing life for yourself that you want to share. You're okay walking away from a dating situation or relationship that's not fulfilling or serving you. You're not settling for good enough when you're not fulfilled. You trust that if a thriving relationship is your pure desire, that's what you're having and experiencing. Imagine not being afraid of commitment because you know that no one can take away your independence. And you always have the power to walk away if the dating or relationship no longer feels like a win-win. If this sounds like the kind of dating life you want, then you're in the right place. Type me in the chat. Open your eyes and type me in the chat if this sounds like you. If this sounds like something you want for yourself. Any part of this vision I just outlined. Type me in the chat if this is something that you desire for yourself. All right, seeing some me's. Beautiful, guys, beautiful. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Excellent. So, before we get into the biggest mistakes, we need to talk about something serious. As gay men, we have all experienced a significant amount of pain from feeling judged and rejected from ourselves and others. And when we begin feeling different at a really early, and we began feeling different at a really early age. And these wounds, they taught us to be guarded and protect ourselves. And these wounds don't magically go away when we come out of the closet or have sex with another man. They run deep. And as a result, we as gay men, we have this underlying tendency to want to avoid discomfort that can come from really intimate stuff. That can come from really intimate relationships. And in my experience, nothing triggers us more than intimate relationships. Dating and relationships are not always rainbows and unicorns full of joy, sex, and pleasure, right? Personally, while no other relationship in my life has been as rewarding and fulfilling as my marriage with Andrew, nothing in my life has triggered me or pushed my buttons in the way my relationship with Andrew has either. There can be a lot of turbulence that can come up in romantic relationships because they reflect our deepest insecurities and unresolved wounds. This is where I need you to get really honest with yourself and ask yourself, are you looking to build a deeply fulfilling, committed relationship? Or are you on this hamster wheel? Or staying on this hamster wheel, consistently looking for validation and instant gratification from surface level connections that can feel much safer and easier? I want you to make a commitment and a decision right now. Do you want to be in a fulfilling relationship? Or are you going to keep chasing temporary highs and staying stuck on that hamster wheel of superficial connections? If you've made it this far, you're in this masterclass, and you probably fall into the former category. So what I want you to do is type committed in the chat. If you're interested in looking deep within yourself, healing whatever needs to be healed, and you're looking to build that sustainable connection with someone, type committed in the chat if you are ready to commit to yourself and your purest desires. I'll pause. Yes. This is for you to look within yourself and get really clear on what you really want. And if it's not looking deep within, if it's not stretching outside of your comfort zone and taking actions to really change your reality when it comes to dating and relationships, this might not be the place for you. But if you're here and you're ready to look within, if you're ready to heal that part of you that is wounded from childhood, from all the pains and all the rejections and all of the interpretations and beliefs that you've accumulated over the years, if you're willing to face yourself and go deep today and beyond, type committed in the chat. Excellent. Excellent, guys. Okay. So, if you're looking to build a meaningful connection with someone else, it starts with building a meaningful connection with yourself. This is the foundation of everything I teach. It's not about tactics, pickup lines, luring him in. It's about becoming the man who is grounded in his worth. It's about becoming the man who is aligned with his core values. It's about becoming the man who naturally attracts a deep, committed love. Next, we're going to expose the 3 biggest dating mistakes most gay men make. And remember, awareness is power. If we're not aware of what we're doing wrong, we can't make changes to create a different result. So, without further ado, here are the 3 biggest dating mistakes most gay men make that keep them from success in dating and ultimately prevent them from building the thriving, committed, long-term relationship they desire. Starting with mistake number 3, waiting for love to happen, not trying, in other words. So the 3rd biggest mistake that gay men make is passively waiting for love to happen. This idea that love will come when you least expect it sounds comforting, but it's also a surefire way to stay stuck and frustrated. Love is not something that just happens to you. It's something you actively nurture and cultivate. When you're waiting for love to happen, you're not in control of your love life. You're leaving it up to chance. And instead of taking aligned action to create the relationship you want, you're relying on luck or fate. And while that might seem comforting on the surface, it's actually keeping you stuck in the same frustrating patterns, waiting for someone else to take the lead in your love life. It's extremely challenging to build the relationship you want by sitting on the sidelines, hoping it'll fall into your lap. And as we'll talk about in a moment, trying too hard is not the answer either, but not trying at all gets you nowhere most of the time. So what does this look like? You tell yourself that the right person will find you, so you avoid putting yourself out there. When opportunities do arise, You feel out of practice, freeze up, or don't know how to handle the situation or connection. So what happens is you miss out on building real relationships because you're not used to engaging in the dating process. By taking this passive approach, waiting to be pursued, you're greatly limiting your options as you're limited to the guys who go out of their way to approach you. And as a result, rather than taking an active role exploring who could be really great for you, you're likely to end up settling for anyone who shows interest. And these are often guys you may not truly be compatible with. So, why does this happen? Why do so many gay men fall into this pattern of waiting for love to happen? And by the way, if this sounds like you, type waiting in the chat. Type waiting in the comments below if you find yourself wanting to be pursued and waiting for the right time, waiting to lose 20 pounds, waiting to retire, waiting to explore dating and relationships. Type waiting in the chat if you found yourself thinking, I'll do that later when XYZ happens. So why this happens is this mindset of waiting often stems from fear and avoidance, guys. You may have been hurt in the past and the idea of trying again feels overwhelming. Or maybe you've internalized this belief that love is about luck and fate, so you passively wait for it to come to you. While that's a beautiful thought, it doesn't quite work that way. And as gay men, societal conditioning can make us feel like love is harder to find. So we wait, hoping the right guy will eventually show up without us having to face rejection or discomfort. But the truth is, love requires action and vulnerability. And waiting passively for love to happen is a defense mechanism. It keeps you safe from potential rejection, but it also keeps you stuck in the same cycles, never taking real control of your love life. By not taking action, you don't develop the experience or confidence needed to navigate dating if or when the right opportunity does come along. This is why when I work with my clients, we focus on getting to the root of why you've been waiting instead of taking aligned action. It's not just about showing up more. It's about healing the fears and insecurities that keep you passive and rebuilding your confidence to pursue what you truly want. We identify the beliefs that make you wait, and we work together to create the internal shifts needed to step into empowered action. So guys, if this sounds like you, share in the comments below. Do you find yourself waiting for love? Because so many of us can so easily fall into this pattern. All right. Who is ready to hear the second biggest mistake most gay men make when it comes to dating and relationships? Type number 2 in the chat. Type a number 2 if you are ready to hear the second biggest mistake that most gay men make. Waiting for some 2s, waiting for some 2s. All right. I see a yes. Okay, well, we're diving in. Yes, here we go. So, mistake number 2, trying too hard. Mistake number 1 was not trying hard enough and waiting. Mistake number 2, trying too hard. Yes, the second biggest mistake many gay men make is overextending or simply trying too hard. This shows up as overfunctioning, overcompensating, or striving to be perfect in order to maintain or create a relationship. Type trying too hard in the comments below, or people-pleasing, or trying to be perfect, or overcompensating, or overextending. Type any of the above if this big mistake applies to you, because all of those encapsulate this giant mistake. Type trying too hard, overextending, overcompensating, people-pleasing if you fall into this pattern. You see, you might feel like you're just giving your all, but in reality, you're stretching yourself too thin, sacrificing your needs, boundaries, and even your well-being, all in an attempt to make the guy like you or make the relationship work. Yeah, this is a big one. Type overextending, trying too hard if this falls into a category of something you do. So How does this show up in your dating life? In dating, this shows up as trying to be perfect for the guys you're attracted to. Who does this? Type me in the chat. If you try to say and do all the right things, if you put him on a pedestal and because you're so focused on making him like you, you see him as the guy you imagine him to be instead of who he really is, causing you to easily overlook red flags. Another way this shows up is you might find yourself constantly giving in to the other person wants, needs, even when it goes against your own values or desires. You avoid setting boundaries or expressing what you really want out of fear that it will push them away. Another way trying too hard and overextending shows up in dating and relationships is you might take on the role of the caregiver or the fixer. You're always there to solve their problems, offering advice or taking responsibility for his emotions, even though that's not your job. You're over-investing in making sure the relationship works, carrying the emotional weight while they remain distant. So, gentlemen, this is for you if you find yourself falling into these types of one-sided relationships, these one-sided connections where you're the one giving more than you're receiving. It's a really common pattern. And it's not your fault. We'll talk more about the root cause in a moment, but if you identify as this mistake, type overextending, trying too hard in the comments below. Yeah, caregiver energy, overinvesting. Yeah, I hear you guys. So there's a lot of consequences to this behavior that I really want to make sure you're understanding, because at the end of the day, having a big heart and caring is a strength. But what often happens is if we let this type of energy go unchecked, go unbalanced, the tendency is to place everyone's needs ahead of our own or get sucked into other people's dramas. And this self-sacrificing, overgiving nature, it creates an imbalance in the relationship. Because you're the one doing all the emotional heavy lifting, and while your partner doesn't have to invest nearly as much. This imbalance, it makes it nearly impossible for the relationship to be reciprocal, healthy, or sustainable. This behavior also leads to resentment. You give so much of yourself that eventually you feel drained and unappreciated. You're putting in all the effort, and when it's not reciprocated, it's only a matter of time before the frustration and burnout sets in. This dynamic also causes people to implode, pushing away the very people that you're trying to attract, leaving you feeling empty and alone. So guys, here's the thing. Trying too hard almost always attracts the wrong type of people. I'm going to say this again. Trying too hard almost always attracts the wrong type of people. You end up with emotionally unavailable men or takers, guys who are happy to receive but not give back. This creates a one-sided relationship where you're constantly giving and they're doing little to nothing in return. On the other hand, listen up. This behavior is a major turnoff for the secure, grounded men that you would really want to be with. Because when they see that you're trying too hard, overcompensating, people-pleasing, it comes across as needy and desperate, which is a really big red flag for them. You see, secure gay men are looking for a partner who can show up as an equal, not someone who's trying too hard to earn love. So why does this happen? Trying too hard and overextending yourself often stems from a deep-rooted belief that you have to earn love by doing more or being more. Often this belief comes from a place of insecurity or past wounds where you learn that love is conditional, and that if you don't go to the extra mile, you won't be valued. As gay men, this is often compounded by societal conditioning that tells us we need to overcompensate for our perceived flaws. We carry the fear that we're not good enough as we are, so we overextend to make up for it, hoping that our efforts will be rewarded with love and approval. But the truth is, as I shared before, trying too hard only keeps you stuck. It pushes away the men who are capable of giving you what you want, a balanced, loving relationship. This is why, when I work with my clients, We dive deep into the underlying fears and insecurities that drive overextending behavior, and we work to replace them with the sense of worthiness that comes from within. It's about learning to show up as your authentic self without feeling the need to overfunction or overcompensate. And when you stop trying too hard and start trusting that you're exactly enough as you are, everything changes. Then you begin attracting the right men, secure, balanced partners who want to build an equal and fulfilling relationship with you. Do you do this? Type overextending in the chat if this one applies to you. And as you do that, we're going to get ready for the number one mistake. But I want to make sure this one's really sinking in. Also, feel free to type any questions that you might have in the comments below as well. All right, guys, here we go. So we've talked about the two biggest, we've talked about mistake 3 and mistake number 2. We've talked about the third biggest mistake gay men make, which is not trying, waiting for love to happen. We just talked about the second biggest mistake, which is the opposite and trying too hard, overgiving, overcompensating, people-pleasing, self-sacrificing so that you can make him like you, trying to be perfect. Huge mistake so many gay men make. Because the energy in which you create something is the energy required for it to sustain itself. So if you initiate a relationship by overgiving, people-pleasing, and self-sacrificing, you're going to keep giving and giving and giving. They keep taking and taking and taking. And it's not sustainable. So, who is ready to hear the biggest mistake that most gay men make in dating? Type ready in the chat if you're ready to learn what the biggest mistake, after working with thousands of gay men, hundreds in one-on-one and small group settings, but thousands all over the world in smaller programs and in this Facebook group. After working with a vast majority of gay men, this is what I have come to realize is the number one mistake that we as gay men make. The number one mistake most gay men make when it comes to dating is avoiding authenticity and vulnerability. This shows up when you freeze up, shut down, or put on a facade instead of being open and real with the person in front of you. You might think that playing it cool or hiding your true self will protect you from getting hurt, but in reality, it's doing the exact opposite. Avoiding vulnerability and authenticity prevents you from taking your relationships to the next level emotionally and romantically. It's keeping you from forming the deep, meaningful connections you truly desire. So if you fall into this category, guys, if you tend to guard and protect your heart because you've been hurt in the past, if you tend to try to filter the things that you say, if you have a hard time setting healthy boundaries because you're afraid it's going to push him away, type me in the chat if you find yourself avoiding authenticity and vulnerability because you're afraid of letting your guard down and afraid of getting hurt. Type me in the chat if this is you. So, how does this mistake show up? How does avoiding vulnerability show up in your dating life? One example is the endless dating app conversations that fizzle out. So, let's say you match with a guy and the conversation starts okay, but soon you find yourself holding back from saying what you really think or feel because you're worrying about either being too much or saying the wrong thing. So you stick to safe topics like what you're up to that day or the weather. You stick to small talk and surface level chatter. Days pass and the excitement fades because the conversation never really deepens. Eventually it fizzles out, leaving you feeling stuck in the same cycle of connections that never go anywhere. I've had so many clients complain about the endless back and forth on the dating apps, the conversations that never go anywhere. It's because you're not giving yourself permission to be authentic and vulnerable and talk about the real stuff that could actually help you ignite or explore if there's a spark available. Another way this shows up is dates rarely lead to second dates. Maybe you finally get the date, but instead of showing up as your true self, you try to play it cool, you avoid sharing anything personal or meaningful, and you try to say the right things, and the conversation stays shallow. After the date, you wonder why there wasn't any real connection, and the guy never reaches out again. Deep down, you know it's because that emotional spark can't form without you letting your guard down and being vulnerable. Type me in the chat if you feel like your first dates rarely turn into second dates because you're just two guys sitting at a dinner table and nothing fun or exciting really happens. It's not because you're boring. It's because you're not giving yourself permission to really open up about what creates that magnetic conversation. Another way this shows up, avoiding being vulnerable and authentic, is attracting casual flings or emotionally unavailable men. You meet guys, but you're afraid to let them see the real you, so you keep things light and fun. You might hook up thinking it will lead to something more, but it never does. Instead, you end up in short-term flings or situationships that never really turn into anything meaningful because true emotional intimacy requires vulnerability, and you've been avoiding it. Type me in the chat if you find that situation sounds familiar to you. A lot of consequences to this behavior. There's a lot of reasons why this is the biggest mistake most gay men make. And there's a lot of reasons we fall into this pattern, but first I want you to understand what happens. I want you to not be able to unsee this. Because when you avoid being authentic and vulnerable, you limit your relationships to the shallow end of the pool. You end up creating and perpetuating surface level connections that never develop into anything deeper. You see, secure, emotionally available men, the ones who could offer you the kind of relationship you want, won't stick around. They'll sense that you're guarded or not fully open, and they'll move on, looking for someone who is ready to connect on a deeper level. You see, without vulnerability, there's no room for emotional intimacy. Vulnerability and authenticity is the key ingredient to forming a lasting, meaningful connection. You might end up in a string of casual encounters or stagnant dating experiences that leave you feeling unfulfilled and wondering why things aren't progressing. And here's the kicker. This behavior, while it's coming from a place of safety and protection, protecting you from rejection, protecting you from judgment, protecting you from abandonment, this behavior doesn't protect you from pain. It guarantees long-term loneliness, which is the most harmful and toxic emotion that we as human beings can experience. That is so much more chronic. Loneliness takes years and years off of our lifespan. So when we're falling into this pattern to stay safe, we're doing so much more harm than good. Avoiding short-term discomfort by playing it safe only perpetuates the deeper chronic pain of isolation and disconnection. Avoiding vulnerability and authenticity is the number one reason why gay men over 45 are single. And there's a lot of deep-root issues to this behavior, which we're going to talk about in a moment. But this is the biggest self-sabotaging behavior, the biggest mistake gay men make when it comes to dating and relationships. Type avoidance in the chat if you avoid vulnerability and authenticity, if this sounds like something you do. So you might be wondering, why does this happen? Why do I do this to myself? Why do I shoot myself in the foot? Because none of us want to feel lonely or isolated. The thing is, this blocks us from what we really want, which is real connection. Avoiding vulnerability and authenticity often happens because of a fear of rejection or past hurts. Many of us have been conditioned to believe that being vulnerable is dangerous, that showing our true selves will lead to more pain. As gay men, we faced a lot of judgment and rejection growing up, and those wounds run deep. We build up walls thinking they'll keep us safe, but those walls are exactly what's keeping us from forming the kind of relationship we really want. Fear of being judged or hurt triggers your stress response, your fight, flight, or freeze response. And most commonly in dating, it's the freeze response that kicks in. You shut down, overthink, or try to play it cool. But this fear-based response is keeping your connection surface level and keeping you alone. This is why when I work with my clients, we focus on cultivating self-trust and teaching them the art of courageous communication and magnetic conversation. Vulnerability isn't a weakness. It's the foundation of a strong, healthy relationship. When you learn to trust yourself and stop attracting the wrong partners, like takers or narcissists, you'll realize that it's not only safe to be vulnerable, but it's absolutely essential to building a reciprocal, fulfilling connection built on mutual trust, respect, and admiration. It's important to work on breaking down those walls, healing past wounds, and stepping into the confidence to be real. Because once you embrace authenticity, you'll stop pushing away emotionally available men and start attracting the love that you deserve. All right, guys. Yes, good stuff. Yeah, type avoidance in the chat and type ready in the chat if you're ready to stop making these giant mistakes. If you're ready to stop falling into these patterns of waiting for love to happen to you, if you're ready to stop falling into this pattern of trying too hard, meeting a guy that you like, believing that the likelihood of meeting someone who checks your boxes that you're attracted to, that is single, that's available, that's sexually compatible, is into you. When you meet someone you really like and then you think he's one in a million, and so you try so hard to make it work that you push him away. If you're ready to break out of that pattern, and if you're ready to stop letting fear of rejection and judgment block you from being your most vulnerable, authentic self, knowing that's the core ingredient to connection, type ready in the chat if you're ready to stop falling into these self-sabotaging mistakes. Now that we've broken down these 3 biggest mistakes, you can see that most of the things that keep you stuck in your dating life come from one central issue: how you relate to yourself. Whether it's waiting for love to happen, trying too hard to prove your worth, or avoiding vulnerability, each mistake stems from a place of insecurity and fear. Often because you haven't built a secure and confident foundation in yourself. Most gay men, they think they need to change external things, whether it's their looks, location, how they act on dates. No, the real truth is, real transformation doesn't come from those surface level adjustments. It comes from doing the deeper work of shifting the way you show up so that you naturally attract the relationship you want and desire. This is why energetic attraction is the foundation of everything that I teach. It's about aligning who you are internally. Your confidence, your values, your self-worth, with the kind of love you want to create. You don't need to put on a mask, play games, or try to be perfect to find a meaningful relationship. What you need is to cultivate the security and confidence that allows you to show up as your authentic self, free from these patterns that have kept you stuck. So here's what you've been told. You've been told that the key to love is to attract the right man, that you need to change how you look, what you say, or how you act to be appealing to someone else. But all of that advice has only gotten you so far. Why? Because attracting the right man starts with becoming the man who naturally draws in secure, loving partners. The men who find real success in love aren't the ones constantly chasing or perfecting themselves for someone else. They are the men who have taken the time to build a strong, secure foundation with themselves. They've done the inner work to clear away the insecurities, limiting beliefs, and old patterns that have held them back. They trust themselves, they're confident in their worth, and they know exactly what they deserve in a partner. When I work with my clients, I don't teach you tricks or gimmicks to attract someone. I guide you through a process that helps you become deeply grounded in your self-worth. You'll learn how to heal the fears and insecurities that keep you from showing up authentically, and you'll gain the confidence to attract a secure, meaningful relationship without playing games or sacrificing who you are. In the work that I do with my clients, we dive into 3 key pillars. First is mastering your inner game. We dive into shifting your mindset and healing the core wounds that keep you stuck in self-doubt and fear. We help you replace that and rewire those wounds and that past programming with a neutral energy that we can build trust and self-love and self-security on, so that you feel safe articulating your wants, needs, and desires, being your authentic self, and making the connections you truly desire. The next stage is taking aligned action, where we learn how to approach dating in a way that feels authentic and aligned with who you truly are. The third is learning how to courageously communicate and learning the art of magnetic conversation. Once we've built the foundation and helped you align your energy with your feeling grounded in your worth and value, aligned with your core values, trusting and believing in yourself, once we're taking the necessary actions to put yourself out there and connect with the guys that you're wanting to connect with and accomplishing your goals, next, we get to have fun, where we really develop the skills to express your desires, set healthy boundaries, and build real emotional intimacy. This is where I teach you how to bypass the surface level back and forth chit chat that comes from a fear of vulnerability, and learning how to be bold, learning how to really express yourself in an incredibly attractive way to help you really cut through the noise and make the connections that are available to you. This is the fun part, but we've got to do each stage at a time. And together, we tackle the root causes of what's been holding you back and create the shifts needed to attract the love you deserve and desire. So if you're ready to stop the cycle of frustration, if you're tired of waiting for love or bending over backwards to make things work, this is an opportunity to finally make a change. If you've resonated with what I've shared today and feel that these root causes are exactly what's been keeping you stuck, I invite you to take the next step. I'm sharing a link in the chat below, and this is for you to click the link to apply for a free consultation. On this call, we'll talk through where you're at, what's been keeping you from the love that you want, and explore how working together can help you create the lasting, committed relationship you desire and deserve. Remember, this work isn't always easy, but it's necessary and worth it, because you're worth it. And here's the thing, you don't have to do it alone. Transformation requires someone to mirror your blind spots, to show you the parts of yourself that you might not be able to see on your own. It's difficult to do this kind of work just through journaling, affirmations, or listening to podcasts or reading books. You need a guide or mentor, someone who can help you navigate this journey and bring out the best in you. This program is for men who are ready to do the work and make real changes in their love lives. If you've been stuck, frustrated, or feel like you've been spinning your wheels, this is the path forward. So if you're ready to stop repeating the cycles and start experiencing the kind of love that truly honors who you are, I invite you to take this next step with me. This is for you if you're ready to stop attracting emotionally unavailable men and start building deep, fulfilling connections. This is for you if you're ready to overcome the self-doubt, overthinking, and fear of rejection that's been keeping you stuck. This is for you if you're ready to address the root of your past patterns and finally become the man who effortlessly attracts the love he deserves. If this sounds like what you've been waiting for, I encourage you to take action today. Click this link that I'm sharing in the comments below, fill out an application, and schedule a complimentary one-on-one session with me. On this call, we'll explore how you can start this transformative journey and open the door to the love and connection that you've always longed for. We only take on a certain number of people, so don't wait. I currently have 5 spaces open for one-on-one support. Remember, your journey to a lasting, meaningful relationship starts with becoming the man that you've always wanted to be. You have the power to change your story. Click the link in the comments below, and let's take this journey together. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you found value in this masterclass, and I can't wait to see what's possible for you as you move forward. You don't have to stay stuck in these old patterns. Change is possible, and I'm excited to help you experience it. Gentlemen, now is your time. I encourage you to take the leap. Click the link below to apply, and let's get started on this journey to love and connection. Thank you again for being here with me today. It's been an honor to serve, an honor to teach. It's a joy to support you, amazing men. And I look forward to continue exploring possibilities with you. Bye for now.